In an earlier video, I went over how I monitor my lab results using several labs that I have accounts with. Talked about my chemotherapy treatments, the blood work that I had, my struggles to keep my bilirubin value down, and the A1c. So this video is kind of like a follow-up or update as to what I did to deal with those situations. I'll go ahead and put a link to that video just in case I leave some stuff out and you're interested in some of that. You can click on that video if you want to watch it. I want to start this video with looking at this report from LabCorp dated February 17th of 22. And this is one that I had through my regular doctor. Most of the categories were okay. This one was a little high. But again, pretty close to where it's supposed to be. Notice it's 4.11. The lower limit on this interval is 4.14. So I don't concern myself with that. Neither did my doctor. Kind of concerned with the A1c was 6.0. It's been higher, so it kind of concerned me. Interval from 4.8 to 5.6 is considered normal. Pre-diabetes is 4.7 to 6.4, and if it's greater than 6.4, is considered diabetes. And many of our family members do have issues with diabetes. I know some of my nieces have had their A1c as high as 4.0. Notice mine, I consider this one high for me, and some of my nieces had it 12.0. A lot of it is diet, as I'll point out a little bit later on. So this was high. I finished my chemo in August of 2020, but I still go back for checkups. So they draw some blood. Usually the doctor will look at the CBC, complete blood count, and he considered this normal. There was a few categories that were high, but they were pretty close to where, just a little bit off from the upper end of the interval. Notice this one is 12.5 and the interval was some 12.0. So again, he said not to worry about those. Went home, and this is basically what he looks at. But then a couple of days later, I get it to my patient portal, and everything else, he did a complete, a comprehensive metabolic panel. That's what this is. Down here, that is. Complete metabolic panel. The bun for the kidneys, that was a little high. But the one that concerned me was the total bilirubin, 2.6. It's supposed to be between 0 and 1. For the LabCorp lab, it's from 0 to 1.2. With this one, 0 to 1. So this is more than twice the upper limit. So this really concerned me. I do have a history of this, and most of the times what I did is just diet. And by that I mean I cut down on carbs, sugars. That includes sodas, diet sodas or regular sodas, no matter. Cut down pretty much completely on that. Eat my vegetables. So this really concerned me here because one time when I was actually doing still chemo, back in mid-2020, it got to 2.4, and the doctor, my oncologist, was concerned. He did a CAT scan to check the liver. It was negative, and now I had it again. I didn't call him. I just went ahead and said, well, I'm just going to diet. Hope everything comes out okay. And that's what I did. And I go ahead and post, like I said, it's just my diet. It's not prescribed by a doctor or anything. And I myself am not a medical doctor. I have a PhD in math education and so forth, but I'm not in medicine. But I have looked at a lot of blood reports because of all the lab work that's happened because of the cancer and so forth. So what I decided to do again is just cut down on my carbs. Like I said, sugars, 1 or 2 slices of bread per week. And the weekend I did splurge a little bit more and just ate whatever my wife would cook. Usually she cooked healthy meals, vegetables, healthy salads. Sunday nights I would either eat cereal or soup. I lost a little bit of weight, but not much. Over this period I probably lost about 2 or 3 pounds because I worked out also as part of my stance on getting my body in shape and so forth. So after I got this report, I had just gotten blood work, so I was pretty sure the insurance wouldn't pay for it. So I went ahead and paid for it myself. I think I mentioned this in the last video. So I went to online, LabCorp on demand, opened up another lab, and I paid to get this comprehensive metabolic panel, which included the bilirubin. So on March the 1st of 2022, it was 2.6. For about 5 weeks, I did my diet. And then I came back and looked at the bilirubin. And again, this again tells you how your liver is doing. So I'll read this here. Bilirubin, a waste product produced by the liver, as it breaks down red blood cells. High levels may be a sign of liver or gallbladder disease or excessive breakdown of red blood cells, among other conditions. And of course, the other conditions I was concerned about was the cancer. Had it spread to my liver. At this point, even though it was still high, I was feeling pretty good. Going from 2.6 to 1.9. Normal again is less than or equal to 1.2 instead of the 1 that it had in my on the heart engine lab. So this felt good. I said I'll just continue what I'm doing. So for another 5 weeks or so, I continued on the diet, and then it was time to see my regular doctor. So before I saw him, I went ahead and sent him a request for some blood work, because this time I knew I was due, so I wanted the insurance to pay. So this report from May of 2022, 10th, and the report date is the 11th of May. Again, I got a comprehensive metabolic. That's the one I was looking at. This is the CBC with the blood cells. This is the one my oncologist looks at, but my regular doctor decided to give me one of these, and everything was pretty good. One category was a little bit high, but again, the same one that was high the last time. And here's the comprehensive metabolic panel. Everything here pretty good. And for the next 5 weeks or so, my bilirubin number went down again from 1.9 to 1.8 this time. Not as great a decrease as for the previous 5 weeks or so, where it went down from 2.6 to 1.9. So this went down 1/10 of a unit here, from 1.9 to 1.8, but it still went down. It was still high. So I figured that what I was doing was working. The only thing I wanted to figure out is why it only dropped 1/10 in the last 5 weeks, whereas in the first ones it dropped 0.7 from 2.6 to 1.9. And what I'm thinking was when it dropped from 2.6 to 1.9 is I started feeling a lot better. And sometimes you lose your focus. Just like when you're playing a tennis match and you're winning big and you get overconfident and your opponent starts to come back and you barely win. Well, that's the way I look at it. I big tennis player, so I think about sports when something like this happens. You want to fight hard. I said, well, I'll just continue with it, see what happens. Went down 1/10, but it still went down. And my A1c was 6.0 in February, and this is now May. So over that 2.5 month period or so, went down to 5.8. It's still out of range, so it's still considered pre-diabetes, but it's pretty close to the interval. So I continue what I'm doing. Now, like I said, I recommend if you're in this type of situation, you're trying to get down trying to get your A1c to come down, or your Bilirubin Total to come down. My suggestion is eat well, eat your vegetables, don't stuff yourself with carbs, bread, sugars, exercise, stay hydrated. That's basically my diet. Now I'll go ahead and put a typical week of what I eat during the days Monday through Friday. During the weekend I do splurge a little bit. I used to have my breakfast, and with my coffee I'd have 2 or 3 cookies, whatever we had. But then I cut down on that. I went from no cookies on one day, maybe 1 cookie the next day. So it's just a matter of cutting down on it. But if you're interested, like I said, I will have a sample of what I eat during the week and what I eat during the weekend, and see if you want to try it. It works for me. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But anyway, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.